Chapter 2600. As soon as the metal beast core appeared in Lu Ming's hand, the metal ball immediately bounced up and shook vigorously like a piece of jelly. A large mouth and a pair of eyes appeared on the metal beast core. The eyes shone brightly as they stared at the metal beast core in Lu Ming's hand. Swish! The metal ball directly jumped over, opened its mouth, and swallowed the beast core in one gulp. Then it began to chew. After a while, the metal beast core was completely eaten by the metal ball. Then it looked at Lu Ming eagerly. Lu Ming took out a few more, but they were all eaten by the metal ball in a few bites. This can't go on. Where can I find so many metal beast cores for it to eat? Lu Ming furrowed his brows. Metal beast cores are actually a type of forging material. I wonder if this fellow will eat other metal-attributed forging materials? At the thought of this, a piece of forging material appeared in Lu Ming's hand. It shone with different colors. They were all metals of different attributes. Gotcha! As soon as Lu Ming took it out, it was swallowed by the metal ball in one gulp. It seemed to be eating with relish. It really ate it. This fellow's teeth are really good. Then, will it eat a combat weapon? Lu Ming thought for a while, and took out a great emperor weapon. The metal ball stretched out two tentacles and grabbed the great emperor weapon. Then it chewed it into pieces. Then its round body shook as if it was saying that the combat weapon's grade wasn't high enough, and it wasn't tasty enough. Lu Ming was speechless. In the next moment, a bow and arrow appeared in Lu Ming's hand. This was the Fallen Star Bow, a damaged heavenly Dao weapon. When Lu Ming's cultivation was still weak, it had helped Lu Ming a lot. The metal ball grabbed it and swallowed it in a few bites. Only then did the metal ball reveal a hint of satisfaction in its eyes. I'll give you a few more. Lu Ming took out a few more heavenly Dao weapons, including the Great Desolate Spear. The Great Desolation Spear had been damaged in the battle with the outsider sacred ancestor. Furthermore, to the current Lu Ming, heavenly Dao soldiers were useless. He could shatter them with a wave of his hand. The metal ball did not reject them. It chewed and swallowed the heavenly Dao soldiers one by one. After swallowing them, the metal body emitted a layer of light. It then looked at Lu Ming eagerly. This guy's appetite is too big. Lu Ming had a headache. Then he gritted his teeth and took out two weapons, a saber and an axe. They were both divine artifacts, but they were only low-grade Tier 1 divine artifacts. They were all Lu Ming's spoils of war from the enemy. In Wan Jingxing's battle, Lu Ming and the others had all obtained several divine items. However, the highest was a low-grade 3rd-tier divine item. They hadn't obtained anything higher than a low-grade 4th-tier divine item. Seeing the two low-grade 1st-tier divine items, the metal ball's eyes shone. It grabbed them and started chewing. This was a divine weapon. Although it was only a 1st-tier inferior-grade divine weapon, it was extremely sturdy. Even with Lu Ming's current ability, it would take him some effort to destroy it. However, the metal ball could bite off a large piece of it with just one bite. It ate with a delicious sound. The metal ball ate a little slower. After half an hour, the metal ball finally destroyed the two divine artifacts. Its entire body glowed, and it had a satisfied expression on its face. This guy won't eat divine items often in the future, right? Thinking of this, Lu Ming's face darkened. Each divine item was expensive. If he continued eating like this, he would definitely go bankrupt. However, thinking that the metal ball would level up if it ate too much, Lu Ming's heart began to burn. As long as there were enough metal materials and weapons for the metal ball to eat, the metal ball would continue to level up. It would be of great help to him in the future. Let's eat some low-grade ones first. I'll think of something. Lu Ming pondered. Then he took out some of the refining materials he had collected over the years. He had collected too many refining materials over the years. In the past, he had given some to the Dragon League for them to refine, but there were still a lot left. However, their grades were not high. Although he had only taken out a portion of it, it was still piled up like a small mountain. Seeing so many metal materials, the metal ball's eyes lit up. It pounced into the pile of materials and began to eat them in big bites. In the next half a month, Lu Ming stabilized his realm while observing the metal ball's situation. In this half a month, the metal ball had eaten almost all of the refining materials Lu Ming had collected. However, the metal ball showed no signs of leveling up. It seems that the grade of the refining materials is too low. They can't provide enough energy for the metal ball. Lu Ming sighed. Lu Ming guessed that after the metal ball swallowed the materials, it would be able to absorb the spiritual essence of the materials to level up. Only when it had absorbed enough spiritual essence would it be able to evolve and level up. To the metal ball, which was already at level 2 empty god realm, the energy contained in the low-level crafting material was too little. What should I do? Do I have to keep feeding the weapon? How can I afford to feed it? Lu Ming sighed. Wait. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. If he couldn't afford to feed the weapon, then he would feed the weapon fragments. In the chaotic universe, there were countless people killing each other every day. There were also countless people who went to various forbidden lands, dangerous lands, and unknown planets to take risks. Every day, there would be magical weapons that would break. When the weapons broke, there would be magical fragments. The metal ball only needed the spiritual essence of the metals. In that case, eating the magical fragments was the same as eating the weapons. However, the price of the magical fragments was much cheaper than the weapons. The price of the magical fragments was even cheaper than refining materials of the same grade. This was because refining materials could be used to refine weapons directly. However, if he wanted to use the magical fragments again, he would have to extract the materials from the magical fragments first. However, when refining a god artifact, all kinds of different materials were completely intertwined and mixed together. It was very difficult to extract them. The cost of labor was also high. This resulted in the price of the magical fragments not being very high. Let's go and buy the magical fragments. Haha. At the thought of this, Lu Ming was overjoyed. He grabbed the metal ball and walked out. The metal ball was like a lump of liquid metal. At this moment, it moved along Lu Ming's palm and turned into a golden bracelet. It was worn on Lu Ming's wrist. Not bad, this is not bad. Lu Ming was overjoyed. It turned into a bracelet on his wrist to avoid attracting attention. Let me give you a name. Lu Ming said as he looked at the bracelet on his wrist. A pair of eyes appeared on the bracelet and looked at Lu Ming expectantly. You're so round like a ball. I'll call you Qiu Qiu. What do you think? Don't you think it sounds nice? Lu Ming said. The blinking eyes of the metal ball seemed to like the name. Dandan Bubbles Qiu Qiu. Lu Ming thought of Dandan, Bubbles and the others and smiled inwardly. He was quite satisfied with his ability to come up with names. Outside, Lu Ming soared into the air. Not long after, Lu Ming arrived at the place where the righteous army traded their treasures. Chapter 2601. Half an hour later, Lu Ming walked out of the place where the righteous sky army traded their treasures with a frown. He had bought some fragments of divine artifacts, but not a lot. It was only equivalent to 10 divine artifacts, and they were all low-grade divine artifacts. He had spent 200 divine gems. These fragments aren't enough. Where should I buy them? Lu Ming pondered. Lu Ming! Suddenly a crisp voice sounded. Lu Ming looked up and saw Tong Xie. Lu Ming, are you here to buy treasures? Tong Xie flew over with a smile. Yes, but I'm here to buy some fragments of divine artifacts. However, there aren't enough fragments here. Lu Ming said. Buy fragments of divine artifacts? Tong Xie's eyes flickered as she thought of the metal ball. The righteous sky army isn't big, and they lack powerful refining materials, so they don't have many fragments. Even if they have fragments, they won't sell them here. Tong Xie explained. Oh, Miss Xie, where can I buy a large number of fragments? Lu Ming asked. If you want to buy a large number of fragments, you can only go to Cloud Peak City. Tong Xie said. Cloud Peak City? You mean Cloud Peak City where the Cloud Peak Pavilion is located? Lu Ming's eyes flickered as he said. The chaotic galaxy was extremely vast, and there were many planets with life. In addition, there were many planets without life. There were countless planets of different sizes. Therefore, there were many forces of different sizes. For example, there were at least 800 if not 1,000 forces like the Righteous Sky Army and the Yuan Luo Palace. However, among the many forces in the chaotic galaxy, the most powerful force was undoubtedly the Cloud Peak Pavilion. This was because the Cloud Peak Pavilion had a heavenly god. There were many forces in the chaotic galaxy, but only the Cloud Peak Pavilion had a heavenly god. It was undoubtedly the most powerful force. Cloud Peak City, where the Cloud Peak Pavilion was located, was the most prosperous place in the chaotic Star River. There were many things that one could buy here. Yes, I'm also going to Cloud Peak City to buy some pills to break through to the next realm. We can go together, Tongxie said. All right, Lu Ming nodded. When he went to Cloud Peak City, he also wanted to sell a good weapon. During this period of time, Lu Ming had been using the divine artifact battle sword that White Fang had given him. However, after using it for a long time, Lu Ming still felt that the spear was more comfortable. Although cultivating the battle character secret art would allow one to use any weapon with ease, Lu Ming had only started cultivating not long ago. He had started using a spear, so he was used to using a spear. Furthermore, White Fang's divine artifact battle sword was only a low-grade third-tier divine artifact. It was still a bit low-grade. Lu Ming wanted to buy a higher-grade spear. Just now, he had asked around in the righteous army, but he hadn't been able to find anyone suitable. Immediately, the two of them stepped onto the righteous army's teleportation array and rushed towards Cloud Peak City. Upright Sky Planet was very far away from Cloud Peak Planet, where Cloud Peak City was located. They had to cross the boundless starry sky. Even if they took a teleportation formation, they couldn't reach it in one go. They had to be teleported several times. Furthermore, with such a long teleportation, even if they took a teleportation formation, it would still take a long time. After 3 days of continuous teleportation, they finally arrived at Cloud Peak City. What a majestic city! Walking around the streets of Cloud Peak City, Lu Ming couldn't help but exclaim. After coming to the primitive universe, Lu Ming finally felt that the primordial realm of the Heaven Realm was too small. The surface area of Dark Underworld Planet was equivalent to 10,000 Heaven Realm, Primordial Realm, and Evil God Realm combined. The surface area of Upright Sky Planet was several times larger than Dark Underworld Planet. However, Cloud Peak Planet, where Cloud Peak City was located, was at least 10 times larger than Upright Sky Planet. Heaven Realm, Primordial Realm, and Evil God Realm were simply dust compared to Cloud Peak Planet. Just the surface area of Cloud Peak City was probably equivalent to the surface area of hundreds of Heaven Realm, Primordial Realm, and Evil God Realm combined. One could imagine how huge it was. Cloud Peak City was extraordinarily lively. All the major and minor forces in the chaotic galaxy could come here. The chaotic galaxy was very chaotic and killings could be seen everywhere. However, Cloud Peak City was an exception. Cloud Peak Pavilion had a rule that Cloud Peak City was a place for business and killing was not allowed. If one wanted to kill, one would have to go to a specific battle stage. Whoever disobeyed the rule would be hunted down by Cloud Peak Pavilion. Hence, Cloud Peak City was very safe. This was the only way to attract countless people to do business, to trade, to buy, or to sell treasures. If it wasn't safe, who would dare to come here if they could kill and steal treasures at any time? Hence, the two of them were more at ease and strolled around casually. 2 days later, the two of them came to the biggest market in Cloud Peak City. There was a sea of people and shops. There were all kinds of shops. Refining materials, various divine elixirs, sacred weapons, and sky treasures were available. There were even divine skills for sale. Lu Ming went in to take a look. The prices were shockingly high. Even the lowest level 1 divine skill was not something that Lu Ming could afford. It started at least tens of thousands of divine gems. At a divine elixir shop, Tongxie bought the divine elixir that she needed. She had accumulated enough. When she returned, she would be able to break through to level 2 Empty God Realm. Then they came to a sacred weapon shop. "Sir, how can I help you?" Immediately, a beautiful young lady came up to them. "Hello, I am looking for a long spear sacred weapon." Lu Ming smiled. "A long spear sacred weapon? What grade do you need? I can recommend it to you." The young lady smiled. "A lower rank 5 sacred weapon or above." Lu Ming said. "All right, please follow me." The young lady brought Lu Ming to a room. There were all kinds of long spears sacred weapons hanging in the room. This is a lower rank 5 sacred weapon, Hurricane Spear. It costs 3,000 divine gems. This is a lower rank 6 sacred weapon, Roaring Flame Spear. It costs 7,000 divine gems. The young lady introduced the items to Lu Ming. What an expensive price! Lu Ming exclaimed. A lower rank 5 sacred weapon cost 3,000 divine gems. A lower rank sacred weapon corresponded to a void god realm. Generally, void god realm people used lower rank sacred weapons. True god realm people used middle rank sacred weapons. So on and so forth. Divine king realm people used supreme rank sacred weapons. One had to know that hunting for metal beast cores in Myriad Gold Star, a level 5 void god realm wild beast core, was only worth 80 divine gems. But a lower rank 5 sacred weapon long spear cost 3,000 divine gems. Of course, refining a sacred weapon, the refining materials used could not be just one type. It required a combination of many materials, and also the refining cost. In the end, Lu Ming chose a lower rank 6 sacred weapon long spear, Meteor Spear. It cost 7,000 divine gems. These divine gems aren't enough. Lu Ming sighed. Previously, when he broke through to 4-star Heavenly Emperor, he used around 5,000 divine gems. Now he spent another 7,000. 40,000 divine gems, only 28,000 remained. Chapter 2602. Miss, do you have divine weapon fragments for sale here? Lu Ming put away the meteor spear and asked again. Of course we do. What grade of divine weapon fragments do you need? Different grades of divine weapon fragments have different prices. The young woman said. Low-tier divine artifact shards. Any grade will do. Lu Ming said. Then, with the young woman's introduction, Lu Ming bought a large number of divine weapon fragments. As expected of Cloud Peak City, there were so many divine weapon fragments here that they could be piled up like a mountain. Moreover, the price was indeed cheap. Not to mention divine weapons, it was much cheaper than divine weapon materials. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and spent another 10,000 divine gems to buy a large number of divine gems of various grades. It was enough for Qiu to eat for a while. Lu Ming's divine gems shrunk again, leaving him with only 18,000 divine gems. I have to think of a way to earn some divine gems, Lu Ming muttered. 18,000 divine gems were simply not enough for him. As his cultivation increased, he would need even more divine gems when he broke through in the future. The two had bought everything they needed. They walked out of the shop and planned to take the teleportation formation back. Tong Xier and you brat, suddenly, an ear-piercing and resentful voice sounded. Lu Ming turned around to take a look. He could not help but reveal a cold smile at the corners of his lips. What a coincidence, he ran into an old acquaintance. Behind him were two young men. One of them was the young master of Yuan Luo Palace, Kong Long. At this moment, Kong Long was staring at Lu Ming with resentment. Back then, he had been captured by Lu Ming and handed over to the righteous army as a hostage. This matter was a great humiliation to him. He hated Lu Ming to the core, and always wanted to take revenge on Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming was hiding in the righteous army, and he could not do anything. He did not expect to meet him in Cloud Peak City. Kong Long, Situ Xiao. Tong Xier's eyes flashed as she recognized the two. Brat, I'll tear you to pieces sooner or later. Kong Long's eyes were cold and full of cold killing intent as he stared at Lu Ming. If it wasn't for the fact that killing was prohibited in Cloud Peak City, he would have killed Lu Ming long ago. A loser like you dares to spout nonsense here? Who doesn't know how to brag? Lu Ming glanced at Kong Long, full of contempt. You. As soon as Kong Long thought about being captured and imprisoned by Lu Ming for several months, his anger soared to the heavens and he gnashed his teeth. Seeing Lu Ming's contemptuous look, he wished he could slap Lu Ming to death. Boom. A powerful aura erupted from Kong Long's body and pressed down on Lu Ming. Level 1 Empty God Realm. It was apparent that Kong Long had broken through to Empty God Realm from Demigod. The commotion attracted the attention of the passers-by, who looked over to watch the show. You want to fight? Come on. Lu Ming hooked his finger. He didn't believe that Kong Long would dare to fight in Cloud Peak City. If he did, he would be digging his own grave. Brat, I'll challenge you to a fight in the fighting ring. Kong Long stared at Lu Ming angrily. You? Loser, I'm not interested. Lu Ming curled his lips and Kong Long was furious. After taking a few deep breaths, Kong Long forced himself to calm down and said, "You're the one who doesn't dare." Previously, he had been defeated by Lu Ming because he had been careless. Now that he had broken through to level 1 empty god realm, his combat strength had increased tremendously. He was confident that he could easily suppress Lu Ming. "You don't have to provoke me. I'm not interested in a loser. If there's nothing else, get out of my way." Lu Ming waved his hand casually. He was telling the truth. Kong Long's cultivation was only at level 1 empty god realm, and he could suppress him easily. He was not interested. However, Lu Ming kept calling him a loser. In Kong Long's ears, this was simply the greatest insult to him. Kong Long's face turned red and he gritted his teeth. "Since you're not going to fight with Brother Kong, I'll challenge you. Do you dare to fight?" At this moment, the young man beside Kong Long spoke. He had a fair complexion and he was fanning himself with a fan in his hand. He had a confident smile on his face. "Lu Ming, this is the young sect leader of Walkabout sect, Situ Xiao. He's at level 2 empty god realm." Tong Xier sent a message to Lu Ming. Walkabout sect was a force that was similar to Yuan Luo Hall and the Zhengtian military. "You want to challenge me?" Lu Ming looked at Situ Xiao. "That's right. Do you dare? If you don't, I won't make things difficult for you." Situ Xiao said with a fake smile. "To be honest, I'm not interested in you either. With your cultivation, I can suppress you easily." Lu Ming curled his lips. Situ Xiao's eyelids twitched, and he stopped fanning himself. A cold killing intent shot out from his eyes. Lu Ming actually said that he could suppress him with a flip of his hand? What a joke. He could clearly feel that Lu Ming was only at the transformation void martial stage. A transformation void martial stage martial artist dared to speak so arrogantly. He was simply courting death. "However, if you dare to make a bet with me, I can fight with you." Lu Ming paused for a moment and continued. "Bet? How?" Situ Xiao asked. 20,000 divine gems. Each of us will take out 20,000 divine gems. Whoever wins will take the other party's 20,000 divine gems. How about that? Lu Ming said. 20,000 divine gems. Situ Xiao's face changed slightly. 20,000 divine gems was not a small amount. "What? You don't dare to bet? Then forget it." Lu Ming's face was full of contempt as he turned around to leave. "I'll bet 20,000 divine gems," Situ Xiao said. He did not think that he would lose at all. Hence he agreed without hesitation. "All right. Let's go to the fighting ring," Lu Ming said. Immediately Lu Ming, Tong Xier, Kong Long, and Situ Xiao headed to the fighting ring nearby. "Let's go and have a look. That young man is only at the transformation void martial stage. He dares to challenge a level 2 empty god realm genius. Interesting." The people nearby followed Lu Ming and the others. Soon they arrived at a fighting ring nearby. The fighting ring was surrounded by people. "Take out 20,000 divine gems. I need a middleman to prevent you from reneging on your debt." Lu Ming looked at Situ Xiao. "How can I lose? Ridiculous." Situ Xiao sneered. "That's hard to say. How would you know if we haven't fought?" Lu Ming smiled faintly. He then looked around and said, "Which senior can be the middleman?" "I'll do it." A silver-haired elder walked out, and a powerful aura exuded from his body. Level 9 empty god realm. Many people's faces changed. In the chaotic galaxy, a true god realm expert was definitely an expert. A level 9 empty god realm expert was the backbone of many forces. "All right. Thank you, senior." Lu Ming handed a storage ring to the silver-haired elder. There were 20,000 divine gems in the ring. Lu Ming did not have enough divine gems to pay 20,000 divine gems. On the way, he borrowed another 2,000 from Tong Xi. Chapter 2603. That's good too. Situ Xiao snorted. He took out a storage ring and passed it to the silver-haired elder. The silver-haired elder scanned the storage ring with his spiritual senses and said, "There are 20,000 divine gems in each ring. The winner will get the divine gems." "Young man, come up," Situ Xiao said coldly as he stepped onto the fighting ring. Lu Ming flew onto the fighting ring and stood opposite Situ Xiao. That young man is only at the transformation void martial realm, and he dares to challenge a level 2 empty god. Does he have something to rely on? I can't figure it out. The difference between the transformation void martial realm and the empty god realm is too big. Even if he is a supreme talent, it would be hard for him to challenge someone of a higher realm. His opponent is Situ Xiao. I have heard that he is also a supreme talent with royal grade divine force. Does that mean that the young man is going to lose? I don't know. I can't figure it out either. Let's wait and see. Many people were discussing among themselves. However, most of them felt that Lu Ming was no match for Situ Xiao. After all, the transformation void martial realm was the first step of cultivation, and the empty god realm was the second step of cultivation. It was only a step away, but the difference was like heaven and earth. Unless he was a supreme talent, he would not be able to overcome it. However, the chaotic galaxy was such a small place. How could there be such a supreme talent? However, some of them felt that Lu Ming was confident. Since he dared to accept the challenge, he must have something to rely on. They were curious about what Lu Ming was relying on. Everyone stared at the two of them on the fighting ring. Young man, I will make you kneel down in 3 moves. There was a strong murderous intent in Situ Xiao's eyes. His figure swayed and he appeared in front of Lu Ming like a fleeting shadow. He lifted one hand and pressed it down. Divine power whizzed and pressed toward Lu Ming like a mountain. He wanted to force Lu Ming to kneel down on the spot. Situ Xiao was full of confidence. He was a supreme talent, and he had royal grade divine force. His strength was much stronger than those at the same level as him. Even a level 2 empty god would not be able to withstand his attack. However, Lu Ming's expression did not change. He pointed his finger like a sword and stabbed it toward Situ Xiao's palm. You are courting death. Then I'll break your fingers. Situ Xiao grinned malevolently and added more strength. Bang! Lu Ming's finger collided with Situ Xiao's palm, causing a violent explosion. Force chi spread out in all directions, and a figure was forced to retreat 5 or 6 steps before he could stabilize himself. The one who retreated was naturally Situ Xiao. How is this possible? Many people around them were shocked. Lu Ming actually repelled Situ Xiao in 1 move. This simply exceeded everyone's expectations. It was unbelievable that a transformation void martial stage martial artist could defeat a level 2 void god stage genius with 1 move. Situ Xiao probably underestimated his opponent and didn't use his full strength, but this is still extremely shocking. Someone sighed. You. At this moment, Situ Xiao was also extremely shocked. His palm was pierced by Lu Ming's finger, and he felt waves of pain. Earlier, he had indeed underestimated his opponent. He had only used 70% of his strength, but it was still extremely shocking. One had to know that he was in control of king-grade divine power. This brat is a demon. Today I'll destroy him. Situ Xiao roared in his heart. He unleashed all of his strength and charged towards Lu Ming. Good timing. Lu Ming was fearless. He unleashed all of his strength as well. His entire body was filled with dazzling purplish gold radiance as he charged towards Situ Xiao. Boom. 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 The two of them clashed continuously and fought fiercely. For a moment, it was hard to determine the victor. Although Situ Xiao's cultivation level was at level 2 void god stage, his divine power was king-grade divine power. It was extremely dense and his attack power was strong. His strength was enough to fight against a level 3 void god stage existence. As for Lu Ming, he was a 4-star heavenly emperor. Without activating the battle character manual to double his combat power, he could also fight against a level 3 void god stage existence. Hence, for a moment, it was hard to determine the victor. It seems like there's a difference in strength between king-grade divine power. As they fought, Lu Ming pondered. Tong Xi also controlled king-grade divine power. However, Lu Ming felt that Tong Xi was stronger than Situ Xiao when they were at the same level. There was a difference in strength between king-grade divine power. Bam. 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 The two of them exchanged more than 10 blows, but it was still hard to determine the victor. How can this be? How can he be so strong? Situ Xiao roared in his heart. At that moment he was anxious. He no longer wanted to make Lu Ming kneel down. He only wanted to win. Otherwise, the 20,000 divine gems would be gone. Below the fighting ring, the one who was most shocked was Kong Long. His face was pale without a trace of blood. He could not stop muttering. How can this be? How can this brat be so strong? Damn it, D***. At the same time he was scared. Luckily Lu Ming did not agree to fight with him. Otherwise he would lose badly. I hope Situ Xiao can defeat him. Kong Long prayed in his heart. It was a pity that his wish was destined to fail. Is this all you've got? Let's end this. Lu Ming's voice resounded. At the same time his power suddenly surged. The battle character manual had activated the double combat strength. After activating the double combat strength, Lu Ming's combat strength was enough to fight with a level 4 empty god realm martial artist. Situ Xiao was no match for him. Boom. Lu Ming threw out a punch. The terrifying force of the punch was like an avalanche as it pressed down on Situ Xiao. Crack. Situ Xiao's arm was broken by Lu Ming's punch. Situ Xiao's body retreated and he vomited blood. Bam. Lu Ming took a step forward and continued to attack. Situ Xiao took out a sacred weapon to counterattack. However, he was sent flying by Lu Ming in a few moves. Kneel down. Lu Ming shouted coldly. He lifted his hand and pressed it down. The sovereign's power formed a huge palm and pressed down on Situ Xiao. Situ Xiao roared and resisted with all his might. However, he was no match for Lu Ming. He could not block Lu Ming's power. Boom. A powerful force acted on Situ Xiao's body. His body arched and with a loud thud, he knelt on the ground in front of Lu Ming. Ah! Situ Xiao roared like a madman. He, the dignified walkabout sect young lord, was actually kneeling in front of Lu Ming. He was so mad that he could not wait to grind Lu Ming's bones into dust. What are you shouting for? A defeat is a defeat. What's the use of shouting? Lu Ming shouted. Situ Xiao's body was sent flying out of the fighting stage. He vomited blood and could not get up for a long time. Lu Ming did not kill Situ Xiao because there was no need to. Furthermore, if he really did kill Situ Xiao, the walkabout sect would probably go crazy and attack the righteous army with all their might. Defeated, Situ Xiao was defeated. A transformation void martial artist can defeat a level 2 empty god realm genius. How is this possible? Sovereign's power. It's the sovereign's power. He controls the sovereign's power. What? It's the sovereign's power. No wonder. The scene was noisy. Many people recognized Lu Ming's power. It was the sovereign's power. Chapter 2604. Once the sovereign power was converted into divine power, it would be the sovereign divine power. This was a divine power. Even in the vast chaotic universe, it was a rare divine power. It had never appeared in the chaotic galaxy before. Now there was actually someone who could control the sovereign power. No wonder it's so terrifying. He can actually defeat an empty god realm martial artist as a transformation void martial artist. This is too shocking. The sovereign power. Which superpower is he from? It's a pity that his cultivation is too low. Otherwise, it would be terrifying. Many people looked at Lu Ming, their eyes filled with shock. I was still recognized. Lu Ming himself was speechless. When he fought just now, he had already done some tricks to hide it. However, he was still recognized as the sovereign power. The main reason was that once the sovereign power was used, its characteristics were too obvious. It was easy to be recognized. It seems like I still have to find a way to hide the characteristics of the sovereign power. Otherwise, I will be recognized the moment I fight. It will be too eye-catching. Lu Ming thought to himself. Before he was strong enough, it was not a good thing to attract too much attention. Sometimes it might even lead to a fatal disaster. Senior, I won. Lu Ming walked towards the silver-haired old man. Little brother, you are really a rare talent. If there's a chance, I will treat you to a drink. The silver-haired old man smiled and took out 2 storage rings and passed them to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took them and smiled. I still have things to do now. If there's a chance in the future, I will treat you to a drink. After exchanging some pleasantries, Lu Ming and Tong Shi left the place together. Lu Ming, I will definitely take revenge. Below the fighting ring, Situ Xiao struggled to get up. He looked in the direction that Lu Ming had left. His face was pale and filled with resentment. Lu Ming and Tong Xie did not stop. They went to the transportation array of Cloud Peak City and headed towards Upright Star. After a few days, Lu Ming returned to Upright Star. This time he had won 20,000 divine gems from Situ Shao. Lu Ming was in a good mood. This trip to Cloud Peak City was not in vain. Lu Ming now had 38,000 divine crystals, which was a few thousand more than he had before. After returning to his residence, Lu Ming took out a pile of divine tool fragments for Qiu to eat. Qiu was immediately excited. It hugged a large pile of divine artifact fragments and munched happily. At this time, Lu Ming looked in a certain direction. There was a powerful aura coming from that direction. A huge tortoise appeared in the air, surrounded by countless runes. Dandan. With that, Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared on top of a mansion in the city. This mansion used to be Dandan's residence. Dandan was trying to break through to the martial god realm. It had been cultivating in seclusion since it came to the primitive universe. Now it was finally beginning to break through. Big brother Lu Ming. A figure flashed and Bubble appeared beside Lu Ming. It grabbed Lu Ming's hand and shook it with all its might. After not seeing it for a while, Bubble's cultivation had improved a lot. It had already reached the peak of the Heavenly Emperor realm. Needless to say, Bubble's talent was definitely top-notch. Furthermore, the cultivation environment in the primitive universe was too good. In addition, Lu Ming had given some resources to it. It was normal for its cultivation level to improve by leaps and bounds. However, after so many years, Bubble still looked like a 6 or 7-year-old. Its growth speed was shockingly slow. Whoosh, whoosh. Figures appeared nearby. They were all attracted by Dandan's breakthrough. This old tortoise actually broke through faster than us. The Titan Longhorn Beetle sighed. Qing Tsong, 9 Lives Demon Silkworm, and the others also sighed. They had broken through to the demigod realm around the same time as Dandan. However, they were still some distance away from the martial god realm. On the other hand, Dandan had already broken through. Boom. In Dandan's mansion, the aura was even stronger. A huge tortoise figure was suspended in the air. Between heaven and earth, endless energy gathered towards Dandan. This guy's breakthrough is really big. Lu Ming's eyes moved. Although the commotion caused by Dandan's breakthrough wasn't as great as Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan's, it was much greater than other breakthroughs. The world turtle originally came from the primitive universe. It is indeed extraordinary. At this moment, ancestral Gragon also appeared not far away. The world turtle came from the primitive universe? Lu Ming was puzzled. Titan Longhorn, 9 Lives Demon Silkworm, Qing Tsong, and the others also looked at ancestral Gragon curiously. They did not know about this. That's right. Ancestral Gragon nodded and said, back then, most of the top 10 battle beasts in the heaven realm were mutations of various divine beast races. They had unique talents, but there were also a few that came from the primitive universe. The world turtle was one of them. The other one is this little guy. Ancestral Gragon then looked at Bubbles. Bubbles also came from the primitive universe? Lu Ming muttered. In addition to these two, the Holy Spirit ant also came from the primitive universe. Unfortunately, it fell in the ancient war. Ancestral Gragon sighed. At this moment, Dandan's aura was even more shocking. It was like a black hole, absorbing the divine qi from the outside. The divine qi is not enough. Go. Lu Ming immediately realized that Dandan's breakthrough was not enough to absorb the divine qi from the outside. He immediately waved his hand and 3,000 divine gems flew towards Dandan. The divine gems shattered and turned into divine qi, which was absorbed by Dandan. After absorbing the divine gems, Dandan's aura reached its peak. Then it retracted it. Ha ha ha, I've finally broken through and reached the martial god realm. A savage voice was heard. Dandan soared into the sky with divine force all over its body. It was insufferably arrogant. It felt like it was filled with an inexhaustible amount of energy. It glanced around and saw Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming, come. Fight with me. I won't let you surpass me. I'll show you how powerful I am. Dandan shouted arrogantly. Oh sure. Lu Ming bared his teeth and smiled. He stepped into the air and slapped him. A purple gold giant hand was formed and pressed down on Dandan. Ah, Lu Mingyu. As soon as Lu Ming struck, Dandan's expression changed. She tried her best to resist, but it was useless. The big hand pressed down and Dandan fell to the ground like a meteorite, stirring up dust in the air. Ah, Lu Mingyu tricked me. In the next moment, Dandan rushed out with a dusty face. It was as pathetic as it could be. Ha ha ha. The Titan longhorn beetle and the others were laughing and crying. You're the one who wanted to fight with me, Lu Ming said innocently. You pervert. Dandan held back for a long time before he could say that. He originally thought that after his breakthrough, his strength had skyrocketed, and the divine force he controlled was extraordinary. He thought that he could compete with Lu Ming. Now it seemed that he was completely wrong. He made up his mind that unless he was completely confident, he would never fight with Lu Ming again. Old turtle. Aren't you going to treat us to a drink after breaking through to the martial god realm? Let's go and drink. Qing Song, the Titan longhorn beetle, and the others pulled Dandan and asked him to treat them to a drink. As the strength of the people coming out of the heavenly realm became stronger, everyone felt a lot more relaxed. Chapter 2605. When he returned to his residence, he saw that Qiuqiu was still gnawing on a pile of divine item fragments. The divine item fragments weren't ordinary, so Qiuqiu naturally didn't digest them that quickly. Moreover, every time it ate, it would have to stop and digest them. Lu Ming didn't bother with Qiuqiu and cultivated by himself. In the blink of an eye, half a year passed. Qiuqiu had eaten all of the divine item fragments Lu Ming had bought. It had finally evolved once more, and its cultivation base had risen to the 3rd level of the Void God realm. However, Lu Ming didn't have any more divine item fragments to give it, so he could only give it some ordinary metal-attributed refining materials. As for Lu Ming, he continued to cultivate. Just like that, 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. After cultivating bitterly for 5 years, Lu Ming had made great progress in all aspects. His cultivation base had risen again, and he had become a 5-star heavenly emperor. Of course, he had also used over 10,000 divine crystals. In addition, his comprehension of the battle character art had become deeper and deeper. Now, when he used the battle character art, the increase in his attack power had become greater and greater. Moreover, the chances of activating the battle character art had become higher and higher. On average, he could succeed after activating it twice. However, the battle character art seemed to have reached a bottleneck at this point. Lu Ming hadn't made any progress in a while. Just cultivating bitterly isn't enough. I still need to go out and temper myself. Lu Ming thought to himself as he ended his cultivation. If he didn't encounter a bottleneck and cultivated bitterly, it was fine. However, once he encountered a bottleneck, just cultivating bitterly wasn't very effective. Cultivating and tempering oneself required killing to trigger inspiration and make a breakthrough. This was also the reason why many people would go out and adventure. Not only could they obtain fortuitous encounters, but they could also temper themselves and break through bottlenecks. Let's go take a look at the righteous army. Lu Ming walked out and headed towards the righteous army. No one stopped him when he arrived at the righteous army's headquarters. Although Lu Ming and the others hadn't officially joined the righteous army already treated them as part of it. There was a mission hall in the righteous army's headquarters. Actually, most factions would have a mission hall like this. Senior, are there any people who are suitable for the empty god realm? Lu Ming came to a counter and asked a white-haired old man. Recently, the most important task is naturally the battle with the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout sect. The white-haired old man said. Yuan Luo Palace and Walkabout sect? Lu Ming frowned slightly. That's right. In the past few years, the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout sect have joined forces to attack some of the vital planets controlled by our righteous army. Our righteous army has also been sending experts to fight against them. Anyone who kills a member of the Yuan Luo Palace or the Walkabout sect will be rewarded, the white-haired old man said. The Yuan Luo Palace and the Free and Unfettered sect are joining hands? Could it be that it was caused by me beating up that Situ Shao last time? Lu Ming couldn't help but think so. The Walkabout sect has long wanted to join forces with the Yuan Luo Palace to deal with the righteous Sky Army. Sure enough, they've made their move. Little guy, do you want to accept this mission? If you do, I'll register you. The white-haired old man asked. All right, then I'll accept this mission. Lu Ming nodded. It seemed that the two forces weren't attacking him because he had beaten up Situ Xiao, but because the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout sect had long planned to join forces. Soon the old man finished the formalities for Lu Ming. I've registered you. Recently many people have accepted this mission. Tomorrow morning, gather with the others and head to Northern Shang Planet. The white-haired old man gave Lu Ming a black iron token. Lu Ming took it and left. A day passed in the blink of an eye. The next morning, Lu Ming returned to the mission hall. Those who are going to Northern Shang Planet to carry out a mission, gather here. As soon as Lu Ming arrived, he heard someone shouting in the mission hall. Lu Ming walked over. Brother, are you going to Northern Shang Planet to carry out a mission? A large man looked at Lu Ming. Yes. Lu Ming took out the black iron token. All right, then we'll wait here first. When almost everyone is here, we'll set off. The large man said. Lu Ming nodded and walked to the side. As time passed, more and more people gathered. Half an hour later, more than 200 people had gathered here. They were all going to Northern Shang Planet to carry out a mission. They were all in the Void God realm. All right, almost everyone is here. Let's go. The large man said. Everyone headed toward the teleportation array. A teleportation array couldn't teleport so many people at once. They had to take turns. Groups of people went up and stepped into the teleportation array, disappearing from the array. Soon it was Lu Ming's turn. Lu Ming also stepped into the teleportation array. The next moment, he appeared on a flat ground. This is an island. As soon as he appeared, Lu Ming heard the sound of waves crashing from all directions. There was also a salty sea breeze blowing over. He felt refreshed. Lu Ming rose into the air and looked around. He found that this was indeed an island. The island wasn't big. At a glance he could see the boundless ocean. Soon everyone passed through the teleportation array. Follow me. Let's go to 7 Stars Island first, and then we'll assign the specific missions. Also, I'll explain the current situation of Northern Shang Planet to you on the way. The large man said. Everyone followed the large man, and flew out of the island toward the vast ocean. The large man's name was Pan Jiang. He had been guarding Northern Shang Planet. This time, he had specially gone to pick them up. On the way, Pan Jiang introduced the current situation of Northern Shang Planet. The situation of Northern Shang Planet was rather special. It was located at the intersection of the Zhengtian Army and the Yuan Luo Palace. Therefore, Northern Shang Planet had become a place that both forces had to fight over. Therefore, half of Northern Shang Planet was occupied by the Zhengtian Army and the Yuan Luo Palace. The mainland and the ocean each occupied 50% of Northern Shang Planet. The Zhengtian Army occupied the ocean and islands of Northern Shang Planet and exploited the resources in the ocean. On the other hand, the Yuan Luo Palace occupied the mainland part of Northern Shang Planet and exploited the resources there. The two sides often fought and killed each other. Experts of the Zhengtian Army would often sneak into the mainland of Northern Shang Planet to kill people of the Yuan Luo Palace and seize the resources there. Sometimes, people of the Yuan Luo Palace would sneak into the islands of the ocean to kill experts of the Zhengtian Army. In short, the fighting between the two sides had never stopped. However, in the past 2 years, the Yuan Luo Palace had increased their forces on Northern Shang Planet. The fighting between the two sides had become more frequent. The Zhengtian Army had also been increasing their forces on Northern Shang Planet. 7 Stars Island was the headquarters of the Zhengtian Army on Northern Shang Planet. They flew across the vast ocean and passed by many islands. 3 days later, they finally arrived at 7 Stars Island. 7 Stars Island was incomparably large. Although it was called an island, it was no different from a mainland. At least from Lu Ming's point of view, 7 Stars Island was no smaller than the Grand Clear Sky Domain in the Heaven Domain. There were many people coming and going on 7 Stars Island. All of them were experts. At a glance, there were at least a few thousand people, and all of them were Void God Realm experts. Lu Ming was inwardly shocked. There were so many experts on Seven Stars Island. One could imagine the strength of the entire Jingtian army. Chapter 2606. One had to know that the Jingtian army had occupied more than a dozen planets with life. There were also some planets that had no living beings but were guarded by experts who were mining resources. How many empty God realm experts were there in the Jingtian army? There were probably tens of thousands of them. In the entire chaotic galaxy, there were at least 800 forces that were not weaker than or stronger than the Jingtian army. It was hard to count how many empty God realm experts there were in the chaotic galaxy. No wonder the primitive universe was also called the divine world, the world of the gods. They stopped at an empty space on the Seven Stars Island. Wait for me here. I'll go ask where we're going to station. After Pan Jiang finished speaking, he flew into a large hall. Soon, Pan Jiang came out of the hall and said, "The island we're going to station is Chen Jindao. Follow me." Pan Jiang took the lead and flew in a direction. Everyone followed. On the way, Pan Jiang explained the situation of Chen Jindao. Chen Jindao was north of the Seven Stars Island. It was an island with veins. There was a large vein of Chen Jindao on the island. Chen Jindao was a kind of refining metal. Although it was not very precious or rare, it had a wide range of uses. Normally, when refining low-grade divine weapons, a portion of Chen Jindao would be added as a supplementary material to increase the toughness of the divine weapon. Therefore, Chen Jindao was often attacked by the Yuan Luo Palace. Chen Jindao originally had 600 empty God realm experts guarding it. But now, with 600 empty God realm experts, it was getting more and more difficult to defend it. Therefore, they needed reinforcements. They were here to reinforce Chen Jindao. A day later, they arrived at Chen Jindao. Chen Jindao was not very big. There was a large vein on it. There were caves around the vein. Each cave was guarded by an empty God realm expert. In the vein, there were tens of thousands of living beings below the empty God realm who were mining day and night. When Lu Ming and the others arrived, they were naturally received and assigned caves. Soon Lu Ming was assigned a cave. It was quite spacious and the divine qi was quite dense. Lu Ming was just about to sit down and rest. Dong, dong, dong. Suddenly, the sound of war drums came from outside. Enemy attack, enemy attack. Loud roars echoed throughout the entire island. What a coincidence. Lu Ming was also a little speechless. They had just arrived, and they had already encountered an enemy attack. Without much time to think, Lu Ming rushed out of the cave in a flash. Boom, 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 whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Deafening booms came from the sky above the island. Saber light and sword light illuminated the sky. Divine power of various colors collided in the sky. Many people were already fighting intensely. Kill! Lu Ming soared into the sky, charging towards a big man with a wide mouth and sharp fangs. Each of them came here with a black iron command medallion, which was both a mission medallion and an identity medallion. It was bound to their life aura. Once they died, the black iron command medallion would shatter. They could distinguish each other's identity through the aura emitted by this black iron token. This way, it would be easy to tell if they were from the Yuan Luo Palace. Brat, a transformation void martial realm dares to fight with me. I will eat you. The big man with a wide mouth and sharp fangs charged towards Lu Ming. His aura was not weak as he was at level 2 empty God realm. Boom. Lu Ming activated the battle character secret art to double his combat strength. At the same time, he took out the meteor spear and thrust it out. The meteor spear seemed to have turned into a meteor, flashing past. The big man with a wide mouth and sharp fangs was pierced through and he died on the spot. Kill. Lu Ming held the meteor spear and charged towards another expert from the Yuan Luo Palace. That expert was at level 3 empty God realm, but he could not withstand Lu Ming's spear, and was stabbed to death by Lu Ming. Now that Lu Ming's cultivation had broken through to a 5-star heavenly emperor, his combat strength had increased by another level. When Lu Ming was a 4-star heavenly emperor, with the battle character secret art, he could fight against a level 4 empty God realm expert. Given Lu Ming's current cultivation level, Coupled with the double combat power of the Battle Word Sutra, Lu Ming was able to kill a level 4 Void God. Of course, if he were to fight against a level 5 Empty God Realm expert, he might not be a match. The main thing was that every time a Heavenly Emperor's cultivation increased by 1 level, it would not be as long as the Empty God Realm. If he wanted to fight against a level 5 Empty God Realm existence, Lu Ming would need to break through to a 6-star Heavenly Emperor. Brat, you are courting death. Seeing that Lu Ming had killed 2 people in a row, a purple-skinned big man targeted Lu Ming and charged towards Lu Ming. Rip. The purple-skinned big man used a pair of halberds. When he waved them around, the power was terrifying. Peak level 4 Empty God Realm, come at me. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He waved his meteor spear and charged over. The long spear vibrated and rays of dazzling spear radiance burst out, fighting with the purple-skinned big man. Dang. Dang. The two of them fought wildly, and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. Phew, the purple-skinned big man could not resist and was suppressed by Lu Ming. He kept retreating. How is this possible? The purple-skinned big man was shocked. Lu Ming was only at the transformation void realm. How could he have such strong combat strength? The purple-skinned big man was at the peak level 4 Empty God realm, but he was not a match for Lu Ming. Instead, he was suppressed by Lu Ming. It was like a fantasy story. The purple-skinned big man burst out crazily and waved his halberd wildly, fighting with Lu Ming. Not enough, not strong enough. Lu Ming muttered to himself. His long spear did not stop, forcing the purple-skinned big man to retreat. A level 4 Empty God Realm martial artist could not give Su Mo too much pressure. It was of limited use to him in training. Bam! After a few more blows, the purple-skinned big man was hit by Lu Ming's long spear. He retreated and vomited blood. Die, Lu Ming said coldly and stabbed his spear towards the purple-skinned big man's forehead. The speed was unbelievably fast. Not good. The purple-skinned big man was shocked and retreated frantically. However, his speed could not keep up with Lu Ming's speed. Swoosh. At this moment, a snow-white blade radiance flashed. It was extremely fast and accurately hit Lu Ming's long spear. Wong. The long spear vibrated crazily, and a terrifying blade energy followed Lu Ming's long spear and rushed towards Lu Ming's arm. Lu Ming felt a sharp pain in his palm, as if it was about to be cut open. Lu Ming crazily unleashed the power of the master to block the saber force. In the next moment, a skinny old man with purple hair and 3 eyes appeared in front of the purple-skinned big man. Evil God Tribe. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This old man was very similar to the Evil God Tribe in the Evil God world. It was very likely that he was from the same tribe as the divine ancestor of the variant tribes. Lu Ming had looked up a lot of information in the Righteous Army, and knew that there was a tribe in the primitive universe called the Three-Eyed Tribe. The Evil God Tribe might belong to the Three-Eyed Tribe. Chapter 2607. This burly man was obviously a member of the Three-Eyed Tribe. However, he was much more powerful than the divine ancestor. Level 5 Empty God Realm. Lu Ming muttered. The Sovereign Tao. Lad, you must be the ant that escaped from the small thousand world. My tribesmen in that small thousand world have all died at your hands. Today, I will turn you into ashes. The Three-Eyed Tribe elder's eyes were cold as he stepped out. Divine force surged as the war saber in his hand vibrated, forming a terrifying saber chi that pressed down on Lu Ming. Come on! Lu Ming's eyes were filled with a strong fighting spirit. Level 5 Empty God Realm. Only such an expert could give him such a strong pressure. Lu Ming's Sovereign Tao Force and Sovereign Tao Force surged within his body. The meteor spear shone brightly, raising his combat strength to the maximum. Kill! The Three-Eyed Tribe elder roared as his war saber sliced through the air at an extremely fast speed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming brandished his long spear and met the attack head-on. Dang! 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 In an instant, the two of them had exchanged more than 10 blows. Lu Ming felt that his opponent's saber chi was like an avalanche as it surged towards him in waves. The power was shocking. The long spear vibrated and his arm went numb. Lu Ming was pushed back by the force of the attack. Powerful. Level 5 Empty God Realm. I am no match for you. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Previously, he had estimated that he was no match for a level 5 empty god realm expert. Now that they had exchanged blows, he realized that the combat strength of a level 5 empty god realm expert had exceeded his expectations. The gap between each level of the empty god realm was huge. The higher the level, the greater the gap. However, this had stimulated his fighting spirit. Again, Lu Ming stepped into the air and merged with his long spear, turning into a ray of spear radiance that shot towards the three-eyed tribe elder. This lad! Shock flashed in the eyes of the old man from the three-eyed race. The killing intent in his heart intensified as he slashed out with his saber, aiming for Lu Ming. The two of them continued to fight. However, Lu Ming was no match for the old man. He was suppressed by the old man from the three-eyed race and kept retreating. However, Lu Ming's tenacity was amazing. He blocked the old man from the three-eyed race, and it was not easy for the old man to kill him. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged dozens of blows. Awesome, awesome! Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Deep in his bones, he was still fond of fighting. He longed to take risks and kill. At this moment, his blood was boiling once again. This kid is too terrifying. He must be eliminated. He must be eliminated. The more he fought, the more terrified he became. Lu Ming was too strong. He was only at the transformation void martial stage, but he actually had such a strong battle strength. Not to mention seeing it, he had never even heard of it. With such battle prowess, if he were to become a god, how terrifying would he be? Quick, attack with me and kill this kid. The old man from the three-eyed divine palace sent a message to the surrounding experts of the Yuan Luo palace. At this moment, the sky above the Chun gold mine was filled with intense fighting. There were 600 to 700 people from the Yuan Luo palace who had launched a sneak attack. They were all empty god realm experts and were locked in a fierce battle with the experts of the Zhengtian army. There were many people fighting around Lu Ming and the old man from the three-eyed divine palace. Naturally, there were some experts who had noticed Lu Ming. Instantly, the experts from the Yuan Luo palace shook off their opponents and charged towards Lu Ming. The experts of the Zhengtian army wanted to stop them, but they could not catch up. At this moment, at least 3 experts charged towards Lu Ming. The 3 of them were all at the level 5 empty god realm. Boom, boom, boom. The 3 level 5 empty god realm experts attacked at the same time. Furthermore, the purple-skinned man that Lu Ming had previously suppressed was also included. With so many experts attacking at the same time, Lu Ming would definitely not be able to block them, and would be killed instantly. Qiu Qiu. Lu Ming waved his hand, and the bracelet on his wrist flew out. This bracelet was naturally formed by Qiu Qiu. Qiu Qiu flew out and rapidly expanded. Its liquid metal body started to wriggle and turned into a huge shield that blocked in front of Lu Ming. Dong, dong, boom, boom. All the attacks were blocked and Lu Ming was unharmed. Then, Qiu Qiu's body moved and turned into a metal ball with a diameter of 10 meters. It smashed towards the purple-skinned man's face. Poof! The purple-skinned man's body was like a watermelon that was smashed into pieces by Qiu Qiu. He died on the spot. Now that Qiu Qiu had advanced to the level 3 empty god realm, its combat strength had increased tremendously. When Qiu Qiu was at the level 1 empty god realm, it could already fight against a level 4 empty god realm expert. Now it could even fight against a level 6 empty god realm expert. The purple-skinned man was only at the level 4 empty god realm, and naturally could not block Qiu Qiu's attack. After killing the purple-skinned man, Qiu Qiu's body shot out and smashed towards a level 5 empty god realm expert. Bam! That expert was sent flying and spat out a mouthful of blood. What kind of monster is this? The others felt their hair stand on end. This metal ball did not look like a divine weapon, but its power was shocking. A level 5 empty god realm expert was sent flying and spitting out blood. The power of the ball was too terrifying. Swoosh! The metal ball smashed towards the three-eyed holy tribe elder. Let's work together. The three-eyed holy tribe elder shouted. He and the other 3 level 5 empty god realm experts worked together and blasted out their strongest attack against Qiu Qiu. Boom. There was a loud boom. The three-eyed holy tribe elder, and the other 3 level 5 empty god realm experts trembled violently and retreated. Blood flowed out from the corner of their mouths. Qiuqiu's current strength was comparable to a level 6 empty god realm expert. A level 6 empty god realm expert was much stronger than a level 5 empty god realm expert. Even if the three-eyed holy tribe elder and the other 3 joined forces, they could not block Qiuqiu's attack. Qiuqiu, continue. Lu Ming called out to Qiuqiu. At the same time, he rushed over and attacked with all his might. His attacks were aimed at the injured level 5 empty god realm expert. Qiuqiu also rushed out and swelled into a metal ball with a diameter of 10 meters. It bombarded the enemy continuously. At this moment, the experts of the Zhengtian army had arrived and attacked the three-eyed holy tribe elder and the others. In this way they could not block the attacks. Instantly, the three-eyed holy tribe elder and the other 3 were injured. The one who was injured by Qiuqiu was even more severely injured. Qiuqiu, smash him. Lu Ming transmitted a message to Qiuqiu. Boom. Qiuqiu stared at the injured person and smashed him with all his might. The other party was already injured and could not block the attack. Half of his body exploded and he almost died. How could Lu Ming miss such an opportunity? The meteor spear pierced through the body and killed the other party. Lu Ming used the sovereign's power and took the storage ring. Of course, the other party's weapon was also kept by Lu Ming. The other party was a level 5 empty god realm expert, and he must be rich. How could he miss such an opportunity? Retreat, retreat quickly. The 3 three-eyed holy tribe elders were frightened when they saw one of their own being killed. They did not dare to fight and retreated quickly. Chapter 2608. However, Lu Ming and the others would not let them off so easily. Lu Ming and the other experts from the righteous army worked together to hold back the 3 elders from the three-eyed divine tribe. Ball, ball, smash. Lu Ming stared intently at the elder from the three-eyed race, calling for Qiuqiu to smash his head and face. I'll fight you to the death. The three-eyed divine tribe elder roared as he slashed his war blade at Ball Ball. A huge mouth full of sharp teeth suddenly appeared on Qiuqiu's round body and bit down on the three-eyed old man's saber. Crack. A section of the three-eyed divine tribe elder's war blade was bitten off. The three-eyed divine tribe elder was dumbfounded. He was completely dumbfounded and his mind was in a mess. His war blade was a lower rank 5 divine weapon and was extremely hard. How could it be broken so easily? However, it had been bitten off by Ball Ball. He was dumbfounded. At this moment, Lu Ming seized the opportunity and stabbed his spear through the three-eyed divine tribe elder's forehead, killing him instantly. With a wave of his hand, he kept the three-eyed divine tribe elder's storage ring. Crack. Crack. Qiuqiu opened its mouth wide and swallowed the other party's saber in a few bites. Then it chewed with satisfaction, making crunching sounds. Even the experts from the righteous army were stunned. The other 2 experts from the Yuan Luo Palace seized the opportunity and rushed out of their encirclement. Retreat, retreat. At this moment, a voice rang out from the sky. It was a terrifying existence from the Yuan Luo Palace. The aura he emitted was shocking and unfathomable. Lu Ming estimated that he was a rank 9 empty god realm expert. However, the righteous army also had someone of such a level. The 2 of them had been fighting and now that they had separated, the Yuan Luo Palace gave the order to retreat. Swoosh. Swoosh. The experts from the Yuan Luo Palace retreated and turned into rays of light, disappearing without a trace. The righteous army did not chase after them. They understood that they should not chase after a cornered enemy. Moreover, their mission was to guard Qinjin Dao. The people of Yuan Luo Palace retreated. The righteous sky army counted the casualties and cleaned up the battlefield. Then they all returned to their cave residences. After a great battle, some people were injured, and some people suffered heavy losses. All of them needed time to recover. Lu Ming also returned to the cave, then took out some divine crystals, and began to recover. Activating the battle incantation to double one's combat strength consumed a lot of world energy and ruler's power. Half an hour later, Lu Ming had fully recovered. Then a black iron token appeared in his hand. It was the mission token. At this moment, the black iron token was emitting a faint glow. Lu Ming guessed that he had obtained it because he had killed an expert from the Origin Luo Hall. However, if he brought this token back, the people of the mission hall would probably be able to find out about Lu Ming's accomplishments and reward him accordingly. After putting away the token, Lu Ming took out a few more storage rings. These storage rings were obtained by Lu Ming after he killed his enemies. Among them, there were 2 5th-level Void God Realm experts. Lu Ming was looking forward to it and began to count them. After counting, Lu Ming was grinning from ear to ear. There were a total of 60,000 divine crystals. In addition to the divine crystals from before, Lu Ming had close to 100,000 divine crystals on him. In addition, there were more than a dozen divine artifacts of various grades. The highest grade divine artifact was a low level 5 divine artifact. The others were all level 3 and level 4 divine artifacts. Together, they were worth a lot. Lu Ming casually threw 2 low level 3 divine artifacts to Qiuqiu to eat. Qiuqiu grabbed them and ate them quickly. Lu Ming smiled and closed his eyes to cultivate. In his sea of consciousness, Jingyu's picture scroll opened and emitted a strong ruler's intent. Lu Ming calmed his heart and started to comprehend. He cultivated for 10 days. During these 10 days, it was very peaceful. The Yuan Luo Palace did not attack. After finishing his cultivation, Lu Ming stood up. Where's Qiuqiu? Lu Ming looked around and did not find any trace of Qiuqiu. Lu Ming scanned the cave abode and soon, he made a discovery. Other than the hole, the cave dwelling was sealed on all sides. It was made of special rocks from the ore vein and was extremely hard. But now, there was a cave in the depths of the cave dwelling. Looking at the marks, it was clearly gnawed. There were teeth marks on both sides of the cave. Could this be gnawed by Qiuqiu? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Then his muscles and bones began to wriggle. Finally, his entire body shrank and he rushed into the cave. The cave was very long. Lu Ming walked for a few thousand meters before he saw Qiuqiu. Qiuqiu was opening its mouth wide and gnawing on the surrounding rocks. The rocks here were actually the Chun gold or vein. The Chun gold or mixed with the rocks and became extremely hard. Normally, if one wanted to mine Chun gold, they had to be extracted from the ore. The process was very complicated. However, Qiuqiu directly swallowed the mineral vein in large mouthfuls. After a while, it spat out some powder and impurities. This guy, could it be absorbing the Chun gold inside? How is that possible? Lu Ming was surprised. Qiuqiu discovered Lu Ming and glanced at Lu Ming before continuing to eat. It ate at an extremely fast speed and soon, a huge cave had been created in this area. Lu Ming watched with interest. After eating for half a day, Qiuqiu's body had swelled up. Then it stopped and rolled to the side like a rubber ball. It even burped and stopped moving. Obviously, it had eaten too much and was starting to digest it. This guy, Lu Ming smiled and did not care about it. After all, this ore vein was extremely huge. Qiuqiu would not be discovered if it ate some secretly. Lu Ming returned to the cave dwelling and continued to cultivate. Occasionally, Lu Ming would walk out of the cave dwelling and ask about the situation outside. During this time, no one from the Yuan Luo Palace had come to attack Qinjindao. After a few more days, a piece of news came. The Yuan Luo Palace had sent out a large number of experts to attack the Seven Stars Island. Could the Yuan Luo Palace's real target be the Seven Stars Island? Was their previous attack on Qinjindao just a cover-up? Maybe they want to break through the Seven Stars Island and completely drive the Zhengtian army out of northern Shang planet and monopolize it. Very likely. Many people were guessing. As time passed, the Yuan Luo Palace's attacks on the Seven Stars Island became more frequent. The pressure on the Seven Stars Island increased greatly, and they started to transfer experts from the surrounding islands as reinforcements. Qinjindao originally had around 800 people guarding it. After 400 people were transferred, there were only 400 people left. Lu Ming was not transferred away and continued to guard Qinjindao. Soon Lu Ming arrived at Qinjindao. A month had passed since then. On this day, Lu Ming felt a wave of energy coming from the tunnel that Qiuqiu had created. Lu Ming's figure flashed and charged into the tunnel. In the depths of the tunnel, Qiuqiu had already created a huge underground space. Qiuqiu had devoured a large amount of ore veins. At this moment, Qiuqiu's body was emitting waves of light. It was about to level up again. Chapter 2609. Qiuqiu was about to advance again. During this period of time, it had swallowed a large amount of Chunjin ore. Although Chunjin was not considered precious, it was in large quantities. Qiuqiu had swallowed a huge hole in the underground space of this area. No one knew how much Chunjin it had swallowed. Light spread out from Qiuqiu's surface. It swelled and shrunk for a while before stabilizing. Success. Lu Ming sensed that Qiuqiu had reached the 4th level of the Void God realm. Even Lu Ming was shocked by this speed of improvement. When Wan Jingxing had obtained Qiuqiu, it was only at the 1st level of the Void God realm. In just a few years, it had reached the 4th level of the Void God realm. It was not easy to advance in the Void God realm. It was not something a Heavenly Emperor realm could compare to. However, Qiuqiu did not seem to have any bottlenecks. As long as it had precious metals, it could continue to advance. The primitive universe is really mysterious. There are even such creatures. However, the more abnormal they are, the better. Lu Ming was grinning from ear to ear. Qiuqiu bounced a few times in the air and flew to Lu Ming's side. It shrunk rapidly and turned into a bracelet, wrapping around Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming smiled and was about to go out and ask for information. Dong, dong, dong. Suddenly, violent war drums sounded and even the cave residents shook. Enemy attack. A loud roar came from outside. Whoosh. Lu Ming did not hesitate and rushed out of the cave residence. So many people. As soon as he rushed out of the cave residence, Lu Ming was shocked. In the sky above the Orvane, figures were flying and emitting powerful auras. The experts of the Yuan Luo Palace were all experts of the Yuan Luo Palace. This time, the number of experts from the Yuan Luo Palace was shocking. There were at least 1,000 of them. And now, the righteous army had only left behind about 400 experts to guard the Chunjin Orvane. Kill! 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 The densely packed experts of the Yuan Luo Palace dove down and attacked the righteous army. Puff! Puff! Blood splattered everywhere. Immediately, a few experts of the righteous army were killed. There were too many people from the Yuan Luo Palace, almost 3 times the number of the righteous Sky Army. With 2 or 3 of them joining hands to deal with one person from the righteous Sky Army, the battle was completely one-sided and unstoppable. Kill. As soon as Lu Ming rushed out, 2 people attacked him. However, one of them was a level 3 Empty God Realm martial artist while the other was a level 4 Empty God Realm martial artist. Lu Ming was not afraid of them. Lu Ming directly rushed over. The meteor spear appeared in his hand and stabbed out. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 dazzling spear lights pierced out. Puff! The level 3 Empty God Realm expert was pierced by the spear radiance and died on the spot. Although the level 4 Empty God Realm expert managed to block the spear radiance, he was forced to retreat. So strong! The 4th level Ethereal God Realm existence was shocked. Previously, when he saw that Lu Ming was only at the Transformation Void Martial stage, he thought that he could easily kill him. He did not expect that he would kick an iron plate. Kill. After Lu Ming forced the 4th level Ethereal God Realm expert to retreat, he raised his spear and continued to attack. The long spear vibrated and spear radiance pierced out. The 4th level Ethereal God Realm expert tried his best to defend himself, but he was still unable to defeat Su Mo. He kept retreating and was in danger. That brat is still here. We must kill him. Kill. At this moment, not far away, a few people flew over and glared at Lu Ming. It's them. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. 2 of them were the level 5 Empty God Realm experts who had escaped from him and Qiuqiu previously. This time, the 2 of them had brought 2 other experts to kill Lu Ming. The other 2 experts had terrifying auras and were stronger than the level 5 Empty God Realm experts. They were level 6 Empty God Realm experts. This brat is extremely talented. We must kill him. One of them stared at Lu Ming. Today he will definitely die. A level 6 Empty God Realm expert said. The 4 of them charged at Lu Ming with all their might. Before they arrived, they had already launched their attacks at Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not take the attacks head-on and retreated rapidly. Where are you going? The five of them were in hot pursuit, closing in on Lu Ming at lightning speed. Qiu Qiu smash. Lu Ming waved his hand and Qiu Qiu flew out. It turned into a huge metal ball with a diameter of 10 meters, and smashed towards a level 5 empty God Realm expert. Not good. The level 5 empty God Realm expert knew how powerful Qiu Qiu was and retreated rapidly to avoid Qiu Qiu's attack. Be careful. This metal ball has the strength of a level 6 empty God Realm expert. A level 5 empty God Realm expert warned. It's alright. I will block this metal ball. You guys go and kill that brat. A level 6 empty God Realm expert held a steel whip and charged towards Qiu Qiu. As he lashed out with the whip, the space whistled and the power was shocking. Qiu Qiu also smashed towards the expert. Boom. There was a terrifying explosion. As a result, the level 6 empty God Realm expert spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated rapidly. Now that Qiu Qiu had advanced to level 4 empty God Realm, its combat strength had increased tremendously. It was not something a level 6 empty God Realm expert could compare with. How can this be? The other three experts' faces changed drastically as disbelief was written all over their faces. They originally wanted to kill Lu Ming, and were not prepared for the metal ball. Boom. After injuring the level 6 empty God Realm expert, Qiu Qiu smashed towards the two level 5 empty God Realm experts. The two of them were not prepared at all, and were hit directly. After two blood-curdling screams, they died on the spot. Not good. Retreat. The level 6 empty God Realm expert's face changed drastically as he retreated rapidly and distanced himself from Qiu Qiu. Retreat, retreat. At this moment, a roar came from the sky. It was from a level 9 empty God Realm expert from the Zhengtian army. The Zhengtian army was no match for Yuan Luohao. The difference in numbers was too great. Once they exchanged blows, many experts died. In just a short while, about 100 experts had died. You want to leave? Today, none of you will leave. A cold voice sounded as several terrifying figures charged towards the level 9 empty God Realm expert from the Zhengtian army. Boom. The two sides collided. The figures from Yuan Luohao were all level 9 empty God Realm experts. There were a total of 3 of them. 3 against 1. There was no suspense at all. In just a few moves, the Zhengtian army expert let out an unwilling roar, and was killed in the air. Kill, leave no one alive. A level 9 empty God Realm expert from Yuan Luohao gave the order. Charge out. Gather together and charge out. Someone from the Zhengtian army roared. The remaining 300 or so people charged in one direction, and gathered together. Qiu Qiu, let's go. Lu Ming waved his hand and called Qiu Qiu as he charged towards the group. Right now they could only survive if they worked together. Otherwise they would all die. Lu Ming and Qiu Qiu charged towards the Zhengtian army. Kill that brat. You must kill him. The level 6 empty God Realm expert who had been injured by Qiu Qiu roared. His killing intent was like a blade. Whoosh. Then, a terrifying blade light slashed towards Lu Ming. Baidu search 81 Chinese networko. No advertising message. Chapter 26:10. Lu Ming was just about to fly toward the righteous army when a terrifying saber light slashed at him. The saber light was deathly pale. Before it even arrived, Lu Ming's heart was already pounding and his hair stood on end. Danger, extreme danger. This was definitely the attack of an extremely terrifying existence. Their strength far surpassed the 6th level of the Void God Realm, and perhaps even the 7th level. A terrifying figure had set his eyes on Lu Ming. Not good. Lu Ming could only think of one thing. It was already too late to defend. At this moment, Qiu Qiu appeared on Lu Ming's left side and turned into a shield. Boom. The blade light slashed Qiu Qiu's body and directly pierced through the shield that Qiu Qiu had transformed into. However, Qiu Qiu had already absorbed the majority of the saber light's power. The remaining power was very limited, and its speed had greatly decreased. Lu Ming finally reacted. His meteor spear swept out and blocked that saber light. Qiu Qiu. Lu Ming's heart tightened. Qiu Qiu had been pierced through. Would it be alright? In the next moment, Lu Ming let out a sigh of relief. Qiuqiu's body turned back into a ball. With a leap, it returned to Lu Ming's shoulder as if nothing had happened. This fellow is truly amazing. Lu Ming sighed inside. Then he increased his speed and charged toward the righteous army. There's such a treasure? Not far away, a silver-haired elder stared at Qiuqiu with a blazing gaze. This silver-haired elder held a silver saber in his hand. That saber attack just now had been unleashed by him. With a swift movement, he dashed toward Lu Ming at high speed. At this time, Lu Ming had already met up with the righteous army. Nearly 300 people had gathered together. They were like a sharp saber as they charged forward with all their strength. Kill, kill, kill. Around them, more than 1,000 people from the Yuan Luo Palace surrounded Lu Ming and the rest, attacking them continuously. Terrifying attacks were launched at them. Lu Ming was also in the crowd, brandishing his spear to block the attacks. Brat die. That silver-haired elder stared at Lu Ming and continuously slashed his saber at Lu Ming. Luckily, Qiuqiu had turned into a shield and protected Lu Ming's vitals. This was how he was able to block the opponent's attacks. Otherwise, Lu Ming would have been in danger. Charge! 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 The righteous army charged forward with their lives. Some people had even burned their divine power. Although the righteous army's people continued to die in battle, it was effective. After a while, they finally broke out of the encirclement and flew towards the ocean. Don't chase, that matter is more important. A 9th level Kayukia it should be here. Kukiuquiquikia's group. A level 9 Empty God Realm expert instructed. Over 1,000 people from the Yuan Luo Palace gathered and attacked at the same time. One attack after another was directed at Chen Jinghuang. The Chen gold mine exploded and shattered rocks flew everywhere. A large amount of the mine was sent flying and scattered everywhere. However, the people from the Yuan Luo Palace did not even look at it. Their target did not seem to be the Chen gold mine. Lu Ming and the others flew at top speed. They only slowed down when they realized that the people from the Yuan Luo Palace were not chasing after them. Damn it! Damn it! Many people roared. This time, they had suffered a great loss. Out of more than 400 people, only about 200 were left. It was a great loss. This time, they did not expect that the Yuan Luo Palace would suddenly mobilize such a strong force to attack the Chen Jinghuang vein, when they were initially concentrating on attacking the Seven Stars Island. Send the news to the Seven Stars Island. We must take revenge. Someone gritted his teeth and sent the news to the Seven Stars Island. Boom. At this moment, a beam of light shot up into the sky and pierced through the clouds. That is, everyone looked in that direction in shock. That direction was clearly the direction of the Chen gold mine. It's the Chen gold mine. What's going on? Someone was puzzled. Such a shocking phenomenon. We can see it clearly even from 100,000 miles away. There must be a rare treasure, or an expert's cave, or some ruins. Someone guessed. That must be it. I understand now. The Yuan Luo Palace must have received some information. Their original target was the Chen gold mine. The attack on the Seven Stars Island was just an illusion. Someone roared. Everyone was moved. Perhaps it was true. Perhaps the attack on the Seven Stars Island by the Yuan Luo Palace was just an illusion to confuse them. Not only could they restrain the forces on the Seven Stars Island, they could also lure away some experts from the Chen gold mine. Then, the Yuan Luo Palace would gather their forces and take over the Chen gold mine. No, report this to the higher-ups, report it to the general. Someone immediately sent the news out with a message transmission jade talisman. Then they decided to send people to the Chen gold mine to investigate. At this moment, the Chen gold mine had completely changed. The mine had disappeared and a cave entrance appeared under it. A beam of light shot out from the cave entrance and pierced the sky. It only disappeared after half an hour. A sky god's cave dwelling, ha ha ha. There really is a sky god's cave dwelling. Quick, send the news to the palace master. A bulky man laughed wildly. The others were also full of smiles as their eyes flashed with a fiery light. A sky god's cave dwelling. It was a cave dwelling left behind by a sky god. It was simply unimaginable. The chaotic galaxy was vast and there were countless cultivators. There were also countless divine spirits that had reached the empty god realm. However, there were only a few who had reached the sky god realm in history. Now, the sky god that everyone knew was the pavilion master of the Cloud Peak Pavilion, the strongest force in the chaotic galaxy. That was the only known existence of the heavenly god realm in the chaotic star river. One could imagine how valuable a cave dwelling left behind by a sky god was. Even if the sky god had left some useless things in the cave dwelling, it would still be a supreme treasure to others. The people of the Yuan Luo Palace immediately spread the news. Not only did they inform the palace master of the Yuan Luo Palace, but they also gathered more experts of the Yuan Luo Palace. Not long after, groups of experts flew over from the sky. They were all experts of the Yuan Luo Palace. They had rushed over to increase the strength of this place. 100,000 miles away, there was also a group of people from the righteous army that had met up with Lu Ming's group. They had already spread the news and informed the other party of their location. What's going on? Someone from the righteous army asked. The Chunjinghuang mine was ambushed by the Yuan Luo Palace. They sent out more than 1,000 empty gods, and more than 200 of us were killed. Only these people escaped. Someone explained helplessly. Damn the Yuan Luo Palace. Someone from the righteous army roared. Why did the Yuan Luo Palace ambush the Chunjinghuang mine? Someone asked. There should be a treasure on the Chunjinghuang Island. As soon as someone explained, a few figures flew over from afar. They were the people that had been sent to observe the Chunjinghuang mine. A cave dwelling has appeared on the Chunjinghuang mine. A large number of experts from the Yuan Luo Palace have already gathered there. Someone who had gone to inquire about the news said. Chapter 26:11. What? A cave? So that's how it is. It must be the cave of an expert. The Yuan Luo Palace must be after this cave. They can forget about monopolizing it. We'll wait here for the general to arrive and kill our way back. Okay. The righteous army was shocked to hear that there was a cave of an expert in the Chunjinghuang mine. They had excavated the Chunjinghuang mine for so many years, but they hadn't found anything. Thus, the righteous sky army began to wait there. The Chunjinghuang mine. You guys, leave a group to guard the outside. The rest of you, follow me in and explore. A burly old man ordered. Yes. Everyone bowed and accepted the order. They looked at the old man with respect in their eyes. This old man was a top expert of the Yuan Luo Palace, a terrifying true god expert. Every true god was a top expert in the Yuan Luo Palace. They ruled over a region and had the power to decide life and death. Under the old man's orders, the people of the Yuan Luo Palace left a group of people to guard the cave while the rest followed the old man into the cave. 100,000 miles away, Lu Ming and the others were waiting quietly. Lu Ming was also resting on the surface of the sea. Crack, 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 crack. Qiuqiu opened its mouth and bit with all its might. Its eyes stared in the direction of the Chunjinghuang mine. What do you want to do? Lu Ming asked. Crack, 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 crack. Qiuqiu's large mouth kept on biting as its teeth collided. It even extended a tentacle and pointed in the direction of the Chunjinghuang mine, with a look of desire. You want to go to the Chunjinghuang mine? Lu Ming asked. Crack, crack. Qiuqiu's round body rolled a few times. Okay, I'll go with you, but be careful, Lu Ming said after some thought. He was also curious and wanted to see what was going on with the cave of the Chunjinghuang mine. Qiuqiu turned into a bracelet and wore it on Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming didn't tell anyone else and headed for the Chunjinghuang mine alone. 100,000 miles was soon covered. So many experts. As they approached the Chun gold mine, Lu Ming discovered that there were at least a few thousand Yuan Luo Hall experts on the Chun Gold Island. With so many experts around, it's impossible for us to approach them head-on. What should we do? Right from the sea. Lu Ming's eyes lit up, and he dove into the sea. He dove down to a depth of 1,000 meters and approached Qinjindao. No one from the Yuan Luo Palace was guarding the sea because the entire Qinjin Island was made up of Qin gold mines. They weren't worried about it. Soon, Lu Ming arrived at the seabed of Qinjin Dao. At this point, Qiu directly flew out, opened its mouth wide, and bit at Qinjin Dao. Whoosh! Qiu's speed was extremely fast. Soon a large hole was bitten out of Qinjin Dao's body. Then it kept moving forward and soon a passageway appeared. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Perhaps they could use this to enter Qinjin Dao's cave. Lu Ming looked delighted as he followed closely behind Qiu. Crack, crack, crack. Qiu's speed increased as it moved deeper into the island. Originally, Qinjin Dao's mines were extremely hard. Even an expert would find it difficult to dig a passageway. Moreover, it would cause a huge commotion and the experts of the Yuan Luo Palace on the island would discover it. However, Qiu didn't make any noise as it swallowed the Qinjin mine. After an unknown period of time, Qiu, be careful. There's movement ahead. Lu Ming whispered. Because there were bursts of explosions ahead, as if a great battle was taking place. Qiu slowed down a little. When it bit down on the mines, it didn't make any noise. After a while, the mines seemed to have been dug through and a gap appeared. Lu Ming looked outside through the gap and took in the scenery outside. There was a huge building outside that was built with a type of black rock. It was so huge that one couldn't see the end of it with a glance. At the front of the building, there was a large door. At this moment, a group of people was attacking the door. However, there was clearly a great formation on the door. Rays of light flashed, and the group of people couldn't break the formation, no matter how hard they tried. Especially one of the old men. His aura was extremely terrifying and gave off a terrifying feeling. Every move of his exploded with terrifying power that bombarded the great formation on the door. What a terrifying expert! Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Even though there was still some distance between them, the aura emitted by the old man still made him fearful. The Yuan Luo Palace already has such a terrifying expert. This cave dwelling is definitely not small. Lu Ming thought. However, the experts of the Yuan Luo Palace couldn't break the great formation no matter how hard they tried. Damn it! The defensive power of this great formation is too strong. Even the surrounding walls have a great formation. It's impossible to break it open. Now we can only wait for the palace master and the others to come and find a way to break it open. After attacking for a while, the old man stopped and said unhappily. The people of the Yuan Luo Palace were also helpless and could only stop and wait. Qiu, let's leave. Lu Ming whispered to Qiu. Then Qiu turned around and left the place. Then it approached the building. Not long after, the vein disappeared and a pitch-black wall blocked their path. This wall was the wall of the building. Lu Ming took out a divine weapon battle sword and slashed it on the wall. However, there wasn't a single mark. The stone of this wall is very special. It's sturdy and indestructible. There's also the power of the great formation on it. It's impossible to break it open. Looks like we can only stop here. Lu Ming sighed. This cave dwelling must be extraordinary if it could attract the Yuan Luo Palace. Chapter 26:12. The headquarters of Yuan Luo Hall was situated on a giant planet. There was a giant city on this planet. Two figures were discussing something in a great hall in the city. One of them was a middle-aged man who looked somewhat similar to Kong Long. He was the Yuan Luo Hall master Kong Ji. The other was an elder with 3 eyes between his brows. He had long golden hair, and was also from the 3-eyed race. He was of the same race as the foreign tribe's divine ancestor. This elder's status in Yuan Luo Hall was not to be underestimated. He was a grand elder and was extremely powerful. He was on the same level as the Yuan Luo Hall master. His name was Mo Kansas. The two of them were the strongest in Yuan Luo Hall. A sky god's cave dwelling. I didn't expect there to be a sky god's cave dwelling on northern Shang planet. Elder Mo Kan of the 3-eyed race had a fiery look in his eyes. I thought it would at most be a true god's cave dwelling. I didn't expect it to be a sky god's cave dwelling. This is a great opportunity. The Yuan Luo Hall master's eyes were also fiery. Hall master, I'm afraid that Fa Ming of the Righteous Army has also received the news. I'm afraid he will rush to northern Shang planet. This is troublesome. Emokin frowned. Fa Ming was the name of the ancestor of techniques. That ant from a minor thousand world. If we had known earlier, we would have killed him back then, and there wouldn't be such trouble now. Murderous intent flashed in the Yuan Luo Hall Master's eyes when he mentioned the ancestor of techniques. Unfortunately, he has already matured. Even if the two of us join forces, we may not be able to kill him. Emokin said helplessly. When we obtain the treasures of the Sky God's cave dwelling and our strength increases greatly, we will definitely kill him. Moreover, I already have a plan this time. That old man Fu Heng still owes me a favor. I have already sent him a message. He will delay Fa Ming for a while. The Yuan Luo Hall Master said. Hall Master is wise. I am relieved with Fu Heng's help. Hall Master, let us depart now. Emokin said joyfully. Let's go. The Yuan Luo Hall Master and Emokin led a group of Yuan Luo Hall experts towards northern Shang planet. Righteous Army Righteous Star. An expert's cave dwelling? Since the Yuan Luo Palace has placed such importance on it, let's go take a look. Within a palace, the ancestor of techniques also received the news. He took a step forward and was about to head towards the teleportation portal to planet Northern Shang. Brother Fa Ming, where are you going in such a hurry? Right at this moment, an aged voice rang out, and a figure suddenly appeared in the sky. This figure was an old man with silver-white skin. Clearly, he was not a human. The old man wore a long white robe. He stood above the clouds and smiled at the ancestor of techniques. Fu Heng. The ancestor of technique frowned and said, Fu Heng, what wind blew you to my righteous army? Brother Fa Ming, it's been tens of thousands of years since we last met. I'm here today to play a game of chess with you. Fu Heng smiled. You want to play chess with me? Another day, I'm not free today. The ancestor of law said. I can only play this game today. If it were any other day, I wouldn't be able to play this game. Fu Heng smiled and stepped forward. He arrived before the ancestor of technique and blocked his path. Kongji asked you to come? The ancestor of technique's expression darkened. Back then, I owed him a huge favor. I have no choice but to repay this favor. Fu Heng sighed. It seems like the cave abode in planet Northern Shang is truly extraordinary. To think that Kongji would ask you to delay me so that I can't rush to planet Northern Shang. Given how smart the ancestor of technique was, he figured out everything after thinking about it. Brother Fa Ming, let's play another game. I'll leave once the game is over. Fu Heng smiled and waved his hand. A huge flag appeared in the void. The ancestor of technique frowned. Fu Heng was extremely powerful. If they really fought, he was not confident at all. In fact, there was a high chance that he would lose to the other party. Instantly, thoughts flashed through the ancestor of technique's mind. Alright, since you're so interested, let's play a game. The ancestor of technique was helpless as well. He sat cross-legged in the air, facing Fu Heng across the chessboard. At the same time, he sent a message out, informing the people of the Righteous Army that before he arrived at planet Northern Shang, they were not to interfere no matter what happened. Then he began to play chess with Fu Heng. Planet Northern Shang, Chen Jinghuang Vane. The Yuan Luo Hall Master, Kongji, and the others arrived. Greetings, Hall Master. The true immortal realm elder from before, and the others from the Yuan Luo Hall bowed. How is it? Have you all investigated this cave abode? The Yuan Luo Hall Master asked. Hall Master, we've already investigated it. However, there's a powerful defensive formation outside the cave abode. I can't break it with my cultivation. I'm afraid that we'll need the help of the Hall Master and the Grand Elder to break it. The true immortal realm elder reported. It's expected that there's a great formation. Let's go. The Yuan Luo Hall Master led a group of experts into the cave abode and arrived before the door of the building. Boom. The Yuan Luo Hall Master attacked right away. A terrifying attack blasted at the door. Rays of light immediately flickered on the door, blocking the attack of the Yuan Luo Hall Master. Boom. With a violent explosion, the great formation of the door shook violently. The strength of the Yuan Luo Hall Master was much stronger than the true Immortal Realm Elder. The true Immortal Realm Elder was only at the first level True Immortal Realm, while the Yuan Luo Hall Master had already reached the fourth level True Immortal Realm. It's effective. The Hall Master is so powerful. The eyes of the others from the Yuan Luo Hall lit up as they flattered the Hall Master. Let's attack together and break the Great Formation as soon as possible, the Yuan Luo Hall Master ordered. Then the experts of the Yuan Luo Hall attacked together. However, this Great Formation was indeed very sturdy. Even if their attacks were effective, they couldn't break it in a short period of time. They needed to slowly grind away the energy of the Great Formation before they could break it. It would take a long time. On the other side, Ball was still biting the wall. At this moment, a huge hole had been bitten into the wall. It was at least a meter deep. This wall is really sturdy. Lu Ming was also speechless. Now he could only wait patiently. With his cultivation, there was nothing he could do to help. Just like that, a day passed. The wall had already been bitten 3 meters deep by Ball. Crack. With Ball's bite, the wall was finally bitten through. It's done. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Crack. Crack. Ball also became spirited and bit harder. Soon, a hole appeared and the wall was completely broken through. On the other side, dim light came from the other side. Lu Ming's body shrunk and rushed into the hole in the wall. In the next moment he appeared in a passageway. This passageway was surrounded by pitch-black walls. They had directly dug through the wall in the middle of the passageway. Lu Ming identified the direction, and then strode into the depths of the passageway. Baidu searching 81 Chinese network. No advertising message. Chapter 26:13. The passage was a few hundred meters long. After walking through the passage, Lu Ming found a courtyard. It turned out that the passage just now was just a small path on the side. This was the main courtyard. Boom, boom. A series of explosions came from outside the courtyard. It was obvious that the entrance of the building was outside the courtyard. The Yuan Luo Hall Master and the others were attacking the formation of the entrance. They would never have thought that before they could break the formation of the entrance, someone had already entered the building. I have to speed up. Lu Ming's figure flashed, and he went into the courtyard. There was a large hall in the courtyard. Lu Ming immediately looked around. The large hall was empty and there was nothing. Lu Ming was a little disappointed. However, there was an inner hall after the large hall. Lu Ming walked into the inner hall. The inner hall was a little messy and there was a huge platform. Lu Ming looked carefully and recognized that this platform should be used to forge weapons. Some materials were casually piled up in the corners. Crunch. Crunch. Qiu had already started eating. It stretched out 2 tentacles and grabbed the materials and started eating. This is star silver, black sky gold. Lu Ming swept his gaze across and discovered 2 types of extremely precious refining materials. Star silver and black sky gold were both materials that could be used to forge middle-grade divine artifacts. They were very precious. Wait. Lu Ming rushed over and quickly grabbed the star silver and black sky gold in his hands and put them away. These were only the materials that Lu Ming knew. There were many others that Lu Ming didn't know. They probably weren't of low grades. Lu Ming and Qiu swept these materials away like a whirlwind. Crunch. Crunch. Qiu glared at Lu Ming, as if saying that Lu Ming had snatched its food. These materials aren't cheap. Take them out and exchange them for something else. Lu Ming chuckled. Forging materials that could be used to forge middle-grade divine artifacts were definitely priceless. However, other than these materials, they did not find anything else of value. Lu Ming speculated that this should really be the cave residence of a powerhouse. That powerhouse was refining tools here, and some of the materials that he didn't need were left in the corner. These were the materials that Lu Ming had collected before. However, the item that the expert didn't care about was still shockingly valuable to others. Lu Ming looked around happily, but didn't find anything else. Lu Ming left the inner hall and returned to the outer hall. He discovered that there was a corridor at the side of the outer hall. Following the corridor, he arrived at another courtyard. In front of the courtyard, there was a tall building. However, the entrance to the courtyard was closed. There was also a grand array on the entrance. Lu Ming tried and realized that he couldn't enter at all. He was blocked by the array. Looks like we have to take a detour again. Lu Ming pondered for a moment, then went back the way he had come. He arrived at the side passage and exited through the opening Qiu had bitten open. How can I block this opening? Lu Ming pondered. Later, if Yuan Luo Hall Master and the others broke through the array and entered, they would probably find this opening. Qiu seemed to have seen through Lu Ming's thoughts. It opened its mouth and spat out a sticky black liquid that looked like a black liquid metal. The black liquid metal poured into the opening and rapidly solidified, completely blocking the opening. Lu Ming was a little dazed. He speculated that this black liquid metal was the impurities that Qiu had eaten. Anyway, the opening was blocked. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Then Qiu continued to gnaw on the Chen Jingquang vein and went inside the building. Estimating that it had passed the entrance, Qiu began to bite the black wall again. A few days later, Qiu bit through the wall. Lu Ming entered through the opening and found that he had entered the building behind the entrance. There were secret rooms here. Lu Ming began to search. At first, several secret rooms were empty. He did not discover anything until he came to the largest secret room. There were several shelves placed around the room, and on the shelves, there were some jade bottles. Godly pills. Lu Ming's eyes glittered. Godly pills were the most useful for martial gods. There were actually some godly pills here. Lu Ming picked up a jade bottle and saw runes carved on it. These runes were used to seal the bottle to prevent the pills from leaking out. However, many years had passed, thus the power of the seal had weakened. Lu Ming soon broke the seal with the Tao of Ruler. He then opened the jade bottle. A strong medicinal fragrance immediately filled the air. There are more pills. Lu Ming was overjoyed. However, Lu Ming had no idea what the pills in the jade bottle were called, nor what they were used for. Lu Ming knew nothing about the pills. Screw it, I'll put them away first. I'll identify them later. With a wave of his hands, Lu Ming put away all the jade bottles. There were more than 50 jade bottles. After putting them away, Lu Ming inspected the secret room. There was a dark mark at the center of the room. This must be a secret room used to refine pills. The mark at the center must be where the cauldron was placed. Lu Ming speculated. Even though Lu Ming was not familiar with godly pills, he was an expert in pill alchemy in the heaven realm. Thus he was familiar with the steps of refining pills. He was able to deduce many things by observing the layout of the secret room. It was obvious that this was a secret room used to refine pills, but the owner of the room had left with the cauldron and most of the pills. Perhaps some of the pills that were not important to the owner of the cave had been left behind. They were the pills that Lu Ming had found before. However, the owner of the cave was probably not to be underestimated. Even if the owner of the cave didn't like them, it didn't mean that Lu Ming didn't like them. After walking out of the secret room, Lu Ming began to search again. Then he found a passage. However, this passage was also set up with a formation, so Lu Ming couldn't pass through it at all. This cave is really big. There are more inside. Let's continue. Lu Ming was full of smiles. This cave had obviously been abandoned by its owner. Almost all the good things had been taken away. But even if there were some left behind that were not important to the owner of the cave, they were still precious treasures. Lu Ming went out through the hole they came in from. Qiu repeated the same trick and spat out liquid metal to block the hole. Then they continued to dig deeper into the cave. After walking for a while, Qiu continued to bite a hole in the stone wall, and Lu Ming entered. This time, the place they entered was a little special. They seemed to have entered a passage. The passage was very large, at least 100 meters in diameter, and there were smooth walls on all sides. In front of the passage it was pitch black, and they didn't know where it led to. Lu Ming muttered to himself for a moment, and then walked along the passage. Suddenly, there was a terrifying whistling sound in the passage. Then there was a strong suction force in the passage, and Lu Ming was sucked in. Baidu searching 81 Chinese networko. No advertising message. Chapter 26:14. Not good. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. The suction force in front of the passage was too strong. Lu Ming was not prepared at all, and was sucked in at once. Swish. Lu Ming was like a small boat in a huge wave, drifting with the current and being thrown out. Soon the passage came to an end. However, there was an even larger passage at the end of the passage. The passage that Lu Ming was in was just a branch. The two passages converged together. Lu Ming was directly thrown into this larger passageway. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The larger passage was at least a few thousand meters in diameter, and was filled with endless gales that blew in one direction. It was because of the gales that it produced such a terrifying suction force. The endless gales blew on Lu Ming's body like sharp blades, cutting Lu Ming's body and causing waves of stinging pain. Lu Ming hurriedly circulated his sovereign power, and covered his body to resist the attack of the gales. Whoosh whoosh. The gales whistled as Lu Ming was carried forward by the gales. In the blink of an eye, he had flown over 100 li. No, I can't be carried like this forever. Lu Ming's mind raced as he mustered all his strength and rushed to the side of the passage. The side of the passage was full of bumpy rocks. When Lu Ming approached the side of the passage, Lu Ming grabbed a protruding rock and finally stabilized his body. There's actually a hurricane passage in the depths of this cave. Where does it lead? Lu Ming pondered. Could it be that the true core of the cave was in the depths of the passage, and that he had to pass through the hurricane passage to reach the core of the cave? This was very likely. Many experts would set up formations or traps around their cave abodes to prevent others from entering. This hurricane passage was very likely set up by the cave abode's owner. Go along the side of the passage and take a look. Lu Ming made up his mind. Since he had come here, he did not want to give up. Immediately, Lu Ming followed the side of the passage and climbed the protruding rocks, slowly heading deeper into the passage. However, Lu Ming realized that the closer he got to the depths of the passage, the stronger the gales became. Lu Ming was very draining to resist the hurricane's power. Every once in a while, Lu Ming had to stop to rest and recover his strength. Just like that, Lu Ming walked for 3 days, but still did not reach the end of the passage. This passage seemed to be endless with no end. Roar. At this moment, Lu Ming heard a beast roar. Beast roar? What's going on? Could there be desolate beasts or divine beasts here? Lu Ming revealed a puzzled look, but in the next moment, his eyes widened. This was because he saw a huge desolate beast soaring in the hurricane, and flying toward Lu Ming. This was a strange desolate beast. Its body was like a goshawk, and it was covered in green feathers. However, its head was that of a lion. It was Lu Ming's first time seeing such a desolate beast with a lion's head and a bird's body. This desolate beast was completely unafraid of the gales. With a flap of its wings, it flew against the wind. Its gaze was like lightning as it swept towards Lu Ming. Swish. Swish. It flapped its wings a few times and flew towards Lu Ming at an extremely fast speed. Its sharp claws swiped at Lu Ming. The wind howled and it was terrifyingly sharp. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. He grabbed the rock with one hand and the meteor spear with the other. He stabbed out. Dang. The meteor spear stabbed at the other party's sharp claws, producing the sound of metal clashing. The lion-headed harpy was sent flying, but Lu Ming's spear also trembled violently, causing Lu Ming's arm to turn numb. What terrifying strength! Lu Ming's heart turned cold. He did not dare to be careless. Roar. The lion-headed harpy retreated and spread its wings to stabilize its body. Its eyes turned even colder. With a flap of its wings, it charged towards Lu Ming like a gust of wind. Its wings were like blades as they slashed towards Lu Ming. Swish. 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 Lu Ming held his spear with one hand and stabbed out rays of spear light as he engaged in a fierce battle with the lion-headed harpy. In a blink of an eye, both sides had exchanged dozens of blows. Finally, Lu Ming stabbed the lion-headed harpy's lower abdomen. The lion-headed harpy roared angrily as it retreated frantically. Feathers fell from the sky as it was swept away by the gales and disappeared at the end of the tunnel. Roar. Roar. The lion-headed harpy was infuriated. It constantly roared and flapped its wings rapidly. Swish. Swish. Wind blades formed and were sharper than ordinary divine weapons as they shot towards Lu Ming. Not good. Lu Ming did not hesitate and activated the battle character art to double his combat strength. Now Lu Ming could activate the battle character art's double combat strength after activating it twice. After activating the double combat strength, his strength increased greatly. With a shake of his spear, hundreds of rays of spear light were shot out, destroying the wind blades one by one. At the same time, the spear swept towards the lion-headed harpy along with the wind. Lu Ming's attack was already astonishingly fast. With the wind, it became even faster. The lion-headed harpy wanted to dodge, but it was too late. It was directly hit by the spear. Bang! The lion-headed eagle-body beast exploded. What surprised Lu Ming was that after the lion-headed harpy exploded, there was not a drop of blood. It directly turned into energy and disappeared. Fake? It's not a real creature? Lu Ming was also stunned. Could it be that it was condensed by the array? However, this lion-headed harpy was too real. It was no different from a real one. Lu Ming could not distinguish it just now. After killing this lion-headed eagle beast, Lu Ming continued to move forward along the side. However, this time he did not go far before he heard a few roars. Then Lu Ming saw the lion-headed harpies again. Moreover, this time there was not one, but three. The three lion-headed harpies pounced on Lu Ming as soon as they saw Lu Ming. Then let's fight. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. He waved his spear and fought with the three lion-headed harpies. This time they exchanged more than 100 moves. In this hurricane passage, Lu Ming had to resist the wind, and it was difficult for him to exert his full strength. However, the lion-headed harpies were like fish in water. They could exert their strength to the extreme. Therefore, even if the lion-headed harpies' level was not high, Lu Ming still spent a lot of effort to kill them. In this kind of environment, it's not bad to use it to train myself. Lu Ming smiled slightly. In this kind of adversity, Lu Ming had to go all out against the lion-headed harpies. He had to use his god's power and the battle formula to the extreme. After that exchange, Lu Ming felt that he had gained some understanding of the god's power and the battle formula. Although it was not much, it was still much faster than boring and bitter cultivation. Afterwards, Lu Ming found a large protruding rock and used it to stabilize his body. He circulated his energy to recover. Every time he used the battle formula, he needed to rest and recover. He could not use it continuously. Several hours later, Lu Ming had fully recovered and continued deeper into the passage. However, he did not go very far before several lion-headed harpies appeared and began to fight with Lu Ming. After exchanging more than 100 moves, Lu Ming finally managed to kill the lion-headed harpies. He had gained more understanding of the god's path and the battle formula. Baidu search Dong 81 Chinese Networko. No advertising message. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.